Resourcefulness, and I really don't like the word network because it dehumanizes the whole point of quality relationships. But because that's the popular vernacular, what I mean is making sure that you have a rich network and diverse network. What would that mean? Having a very solid network. What type of people are you connected with? These would be people that you have very strong ties with and very weak ties with. So the best networks are not just where you have solid relationships. You have solid relationships and tons of weak relationships that you consistently keep in touch with. What do I mean by that? Before I became an entrepreneur, I had approximately, I think, 2,000 people that I was connected to on LinkedIn. All of these people I don't know personally. That's why I'm seeing a couple of faces. I'm like, I think we're connected and we better say hello. But on average, that group are people I have met either once or through a connection or found something, read something about them and decided to connect. Out of that 2,000, maybe less than 200 are close ties. These are people I can call anytime, ask for anything. They know me professionally. They have either worked with me very closely or recommended me and so on and so forth, or watched me as a client. And then there is the very small proportion, about 30 people. Those are the strongest bonds. They're almost like your intimate friends and family. You can call them absolutely anytime. They know what you're up to. So do you have a network that actually is diverse enough? Because guess what? If you're only investing time with people that you always hang out with, they're also always hanging out with you. They're not privy to information that's happening outside your network. They're not necessarily looking at life from a different perspective. So all the things that give you the multiple sources of power are diminished if you don't broaden and diversify your network. But what happens when we meet, I don't know how many people at a conference, and all you remember is you exchange cards? Have you exchanged cards in the last 24 hours at HRPA? Yeah, so what are you gonna do with that? The golden relationship is you follow up. You follow up immediately, but then you create a consistent pattern of follow-up. So researchers at Notre Dame, what they did is a research with 8 million phone calls between 2 million people. And they found that the best, most productive and deep relationships require that you keep in touch every 2 weeks. Do you think you're gonna keep in touch every 2 weeks with people you meet at a conference? Most likely not. That's because we're talking about strong ties. But for network, you should have some periodic cycle, maybe once a year, maybe once in 6 months. So depending on the tiers of your network, do you have a systematic way? And if nothing else, my 2 favorite times that I connect with my network is at Thanksgiving and New Year's. Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday, so I make sure I do handwritten cards. People who've made very significant impact over the last year. And New Year is usually for everybody I am meaningfully connected with, which means not necessarily just strong ties, but also medium ties. And my very weak connections, they're part of my newsletter or anything that I post on social media. If they post, I will respond, but we're not connected in person individually. Do you have some way of staying in touch and staying relevant? Because all the noise that is happening with social media, the people that actually are top of mind are those that actually are doing something or taking the initiative to stay top of mind. And you know what? Even if you felt, oh, that's really a thing for extroverts, people who don't know me really well find it very surprising. I'm an introvert. I will go to a networking event and spend the entire evening with one person, whoever I actually genuinely click with. And yes, a lot of networking gurus may think, okay, that's a waste of an event. But I usually have a much more meaningful connection that I can take back in 6 months. So you don't have to go beyond what you feel comfortable doing, but what is within your realm. And what if you didn't want to network at all? Start with people you really already know. Have you watched the TED Talk by Sean Achor? He is a psychologist from Harvard. His research showed people who are not willing to invest in relationship building with their peers at work are also least probable to get promoted at work. Our ability to build connections is perceived as a sign of competence. And you know why that would be? Because you can be an expert HR person today, but if you want to lead the organization or lead the team, They want to know that you can actually have and build relationships with people. Anybody in a leadership capacity does not necessarily have to be an expert. They have to be an expert at getting work done through people. So your demonstrated relationships are a demonstration of your leadership capability. So having a network that you can draw upon, because there will never be everything you know. Maybe you are the only HR person in your organization. Maybe you are the only OD consultant. Maybe you are one of the 5 talent acquisition specialists. But then your organization has a situation that is very peculiar and nobody's really clear. It's quite gray. What should we do? If you have a network that is solid enough outside of your organization, you can actually do a private call out to see if other people have been in a similar situation. What was the best course of action? And the benefit is, A, this becomes a way for us to connect. And were you guys there in Adam Grant's keynote yesterday? Remember what he said about the CEO study about the single easiest way to build trust with leadership? Ask for help. We put people on a pedestal when we ask for help. And sometimes help doesn't have to be help, it's feedback. Asking somebody for feedback on your work or a problem is giving them power, and we actually like feeling respected and valued. So asking for help is an amazing way to leverage your network. A, you're crowdsourcing solutions to your deepest problems. You also then appear to be the smartest person in the room when you are able to say, I learned XYZ from other people, real experiences. And also you're demonstrating humility. I did not realize the courage it takes to ask for help until I became an entrepreneur.